Arthur Wellington III sat in his sprawling Los Angeles mansion, surrounded by everything a man could dream of. Paintings worth millions, walls lined with first edition books, and windows that stretched high enough to catch the morning sun. Yet, in the middle of all this grandeur, he felt an emptiness he couldn't shake. His empire, valued in the billions, meant nothing compared to the one thing he feared losing: his son's future. Daniel, his only child, had grown up shielded from the harshness of the real world. Though Arthur had tried to instill humility in him, wealth was a veil that distorted reality. Women flocked to Daniel not because of his wit or charm, but because of his last name, Wellington. Arthur had witnessed it firsthand. Dazzling smiles that faded when the credit card stopped swiping. Soft words that hardened the moment material gifts were withheld. Late one evening, as Arthur sat in his mahogany study, nursing a glass of scotch, he found his eyes drawn to a familiar face. The oil portrait of his late wife, Margaret. Her eyes, kind yet strong, seemed to look straight into him. She had always been the voice of reason, reminding him that money could buy houses, cars, even influence, but never love. Arthur spoke aloud into the silence. "Margaret, I promised you I'd protect Daniel. I promised you I'd help him find someone who loves him for who he is, not for what we own. But how do I do that in a world blinded by money?" As if fate were listening, an answer began to form the following day. Arthur's chauffeur had taken a wrong turn while driving him through downtown. From the car window, Arthur noticed a small group of homeless men huddled around a makeshift fire. They shared scraps of food, clapped each other on the back, and laughed despite their circumstances. They had nothing, yet their loyalty to one another was real, untainted by greed. It struck Arthur then: if I want to find true love for my son, I must strip away the wealth from the equation. That night, he drafted a plan. With the help of a trusted makeup artist, Arthur would disguise himself as a frail old beggar. He would wander near the places Daniel frequented, watching quietly, testing the women who entered his son's orbit. If they could show kindness to a stranger who had nothing, perhaps they could love Daniel for the man he truly was. Arthur leaned back, a flicker of hope crossing his weary face. "This," he whispered, "is the only way. Arthur's transformation into a beggar was so convincing that even his closest business associates would never have recognized him. With a scruffy beard, deep lines etched into his face by clever makeup, and shabby clothes that smelled faintly of dust, he became a different man. He even practiced a slight limp and a gravelly voice in the mirror until he believed the role himself. Armed with this disguise, Arthur took to the streets near Daniel's favorite spots, cafes, art galleries, and restaurants. He wasn't searching for wealth, fame, or prestige. He was searching for authenticity. The first test came sooner than he expected. Daniel had been seeing Claire, a strikingly beautiful model with platinum blonde hair and a designer bag that cost more than most people's annual rent. Arthur spotted them leaving a high-end restaurant. With a cane in hand, he shuffled toward them, his voice trembling. "Miss, could you spare a little food? I haven't eaten all day." Claire stopped dead, her perfectly arched brows rising. She pulled Daniel's arm tighter, as though Arthur were contagious. Don't touch me," she snapped. "Why do they let people like this hang around here?" Without a second glance, she tugged Daniel toward her waiting car. Daniel glanced back uneasily, guilt flickering across his face, but he said nothing. Arthur sighed, his suspicion confirmed. Claire's compassion only stretched as far as her reflection in a mirror. The second test came a week later. This time it was Miranda, a successful corporate lawyer Daniel had met through mutual friends. Arthur approached them outside Daniel's office. He looked weaker this time, clutching his stomach for effect. "Please, young lady," he murmured, "just $1 for bread." Miranda forced a polite smile, clearly aware that Daniel was watching. She dug into her purse and dropped a single coin into Arthur's palm with the precision of someone flicking away lint. "There you go," she said curtly, then added in a whisper to Daniel, "We should really get going." Arthur closed his hand slowly around the coin. It wasn't generosity. It was performance. She gave because she felt watched, not because she cared. By now, Arthur was growing weary. Night after night, he returned to his mansion, peeling away the makeup and the disguise, feeling a little more hopeless. Was every woman drawn to Daniel nothing more than an opportunist in pretty packaging? Still, he pressed on. His plan was not just a game. It was a promise to Margaret, to the woman whose portrait watched over him like a silent judge. Somewhere out there, Arthur believed, was someone who would see past wealth and recognize the humanity in a stranger. Weeks passed before Arthur finally found her. Her name was Emily Carter, a modest young teacher who worked at a community school near the university where Daniel occasionally gave guest lectures. Arthur first met her when he pretended to collapse on a park bench. While others averted their eyes, Emily rushed to him without hesitation, setting aside her stack of lesson papers. "Sir, are you all right?" she asked gently, supporting him as though he were her own father. Arthur rasped, "Just dizzy. Haven't had breakfast." Without thinking twice, Emily handed him her coffee and unwrapped the sandwich she had packed for herself. "Here, take this. I can get something later." Arthur's heart stirred. Unlike Claire and Miranda, Emily's kindness wasn't forced or rehearsed. It was instinct. In the days that followed, Arthur tested her again, dropping change near her feet, asking for directions, even pretending to be shooed away by a cafe manager. Each time, Emily responded with patience and compassion. Arthur knew then. She was the one he had been searching for. The introduction. Arthur carefully orchestrated a dinner meeting under the pretense of introducing Daniel to a new business partner. Emily arrived, modestly dressed, carrying an air of quiet humility that contrasted sharply with the shallow elegance of Daniel's previous dates. At first, Daniel was puzzled. "Dad, I know her," he whispered. "That's the woman who helped the beggar near campus." Arthur simply smiled. "Yes. Talk to her." And so Daniel did. What began as small talk stretched into hours of laughter and deep conversation. Daniel discovered Emily's love for books, her dedication to her students, and her dreams of opening a free tutoring center for underprivileged children. She, in turn, saw not the billionaire's son but the man, curious, kind, and sincere. The revelation, months later, as Daniel and Emily's relationship blossomed, Arthur knew it was time to reveal the truth. He invited her to the Wellington estate. Emily stepped inside, wide-eyed at the chandeliers and polished marble. "I think I'm underdressed," she said nervously. Arthur entered, not as a beggar this time, but as the billionaire patriarch. Emily froze, realization dawning. "Mr. Wellington," she whispered, I don't understand." Arthur's voice was steady but warm. "Emily, the man you helped, the beggar who ate your sandwich, that was me. I needed to know if there was someone who could love Daniel for who he is, not what we own. And you proved that to me." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't help you because of who you were. I did it because you needed help." Arthur's throat tightened. "And that is exactly why you are the right one." Daniel, stunned but deeply moved, took Emily's hand. "Now I know your heart is real. That's all I ever wanted." Epilogue. Their wedding was simple, just as Emily wished. No flashing cameras, no extravagant displays, just close family, friends, and a quiet garden filled with laughter. Arthur stood at the back, tears glistening as he whispered to Margaret's portrait in his mind, "I kept my promise." From then on, Arthur sometimes returned to the streets in his beggar disguise. Not to test anyone, but to remember the lesson he had learned. True love and true kindness are not bought, but revealed in the simplest of acts. And as he watched Daniel and Emily build a life together, Arthur finally felt peace, knowing his son's heart was safe in the hands of a woman who saw the man, not the money.